Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to address this panel. I'm sorry for the reasons that we are all gathered here today. My name is Shannon. I work for an international human rights organization based in San Francisco, California, United States. I work with communities across the state of California on the issue of fracking and across the United States. I am on the steering committee of the largest national network to ban fracking.
¿Podría por favor explicarnos antes de contarnos los hechos qué significa una fractura hidráulica?
Yes, I would be happy to.
Por favor.
Yes, okay. Thank you. So for those who are not familiar with the process of fracking, I have a couple of maps here. I think the one at the top is very helpful to see. There is a drilling rig on the earth, and hydraulic fracturing allows them to go down 1 to 2 miles under the Earth's surface down to the hard shale, which lies 2 miles or more below the Earth's surface. And then also it allows you to move horizontally here to another 2 miles under the ground, and uses a mixture of toxics, about 600 toxic chemicals and millions of gallons of water and sand to force down this well casing and to fracture the shale so that you can withdraw the oil and natural gas that lives in this hard bedrock.
¿Para qué se usa el fracturado?
Yes, next slide. This is for the recovery of oil and gas and natural gas. Fracking across the United States is relatively new. All of these red areas and pink areas are where the shale plays currently exist. We have the Marcellus Shale here, which is one of the largest deposits of natural gas in the world. We have the Bakken Shale up north in North Dakota and into Canada, where they are mostly looking for oil. And across Canada, it's a combination of oil and gas. And in California, where I live, is mostly for oil and also offshore drilling. Next slide. So current production is 300,000 barrels of natural gas per day come out of these shale formations, and it has allowed the United States to achieve a 25-year high in oil production, which is set to double in between 5 and 10 years. We're moving very quickly. There are 800,000 active gas and oil wells, and they're expected to be as many as 1 million by 2015. The damage to the rights of ecosystems are felt in every community where fracking takes place, a violation of human rights, health. It's a violation of the rights of climate, to our air, to our future generations. Fracking is deadly. It is one of the most dangerous oil exploration activities on planet Earth. It threatens the way of life for communities, both tribal communities and settler communities in the United States. It affects our food systems, in prosperity, and democracy. And responsible for this atrocity to nature are federal and state agencies and thousands of corporations who are involved in this practice across the United States. These pictures are, this is off the coast of California. These are the gas flares, which anywhere there's frack, you will see these gas flares, and some of them are constant, 24 hours a day, setting off gas and methane into the air. And for small towns where much of this takes place, This is what happens in terms of transforming your town. It takes thousands or 400 trucks for each fracking well. So for many small towns, this is the new reality. So in addition to the fracking itself, is the process of actually getting it there, getting it out. Next. So 400 million years ago, the shale formations were created, where they sat happily doing their job as part of the ecosystem, unbeknownst to us until the 1940s when we discovered that they existed. And we knew that that this shale formations had oil and gas, but we didn't have the technology to actually get to it. Until about 2000, there were some fracking in the 1950s, but it was not the same as the fracking that we have today because of advancements in technology by the Halliburton Corporation in 2003, which allowed for the horizontal drilling and to be able to go all the way down to the shale, which had never been able to be done before. And in 2004 and 2005, under the Bush and Cheney administration, as many of you may know of the problem that Dick Cheney, our vice president, is also part of the Halliburton Corporation. So there was a nice relationship there to be able to help our Environmental Protection Agency take fracking off of the list of dangerous practices. It was so safe, said the Environmental Protection Agency, that it was exempted from our National Clean Water Act and our Energy Policy Act. And this paved the way for the massive boom that has taken place. Here, this is the shale. Here we are in 2000, really nothing happening, and boom, this is our future. And in many states, including where I live, it is unregulated and unmonitored, meaning you do not even know that fracking is taking place until you see the trucks. So another thing that's different about fracking, another thing about fracking is it takes place in new places. Most industrial activity has to date been kept far away from the public eye, or at least in communities who have had little voice and have therefore been discounted. But the fracking boom has really transformed that. This is a fracking well, just a few feet from playgrounds. It's on school grounds. This is a picture of the Baldwin Hills oil field in Los Angeles County. It is the largest urban oil field in the United States and possibly the world. And all around the edges are communities of people who are affected by the massive drilling that is taking place. This is a frac pond where the fluid that is contents have been pumped back out, and it's so destroyed, the water, that it can't be treated by wastewater. So it's just left in these open air pits. And as you can see, it's right next to the wellhead, so it's wherever the frac well is, so are the frac ponds. And that means it's part of the ecosystem above ground as well. And here's some cows grazing near it. And many cows are dying in frac land because of, and many animals as well, because they're drinking this poison water. And it's also taking place right on your front lawn. What this means is that the owner of this home did not have to give permission for fracking to take place in front of their house, because many years ago, possibly the mineral rights, the subsurface rights, were sold to oil and gas corporations, which means that they have the right to put this on top of your land in order to frack their oil, which lies beneath. So I think the reasons for looking at a violation of our food system are pretty obvious. The toxic wastewater, which is often radioactive, is stored in these open pits, as I mentioned. And as you can see, the well rigs go all the way through. This is our underground aquifers and our water and our fresh well. And these well rigs go straight through down to the shale. And The methane gas from the contamination of the drinking water is 17 times higher near fracking sites. 60% of wells leak over a 20 to 30 year period. And 6% of the well casings are these cement blocks that protect the water supply. They fail immediately. So it's no surprise that people and farmland are being poisoned by exposure to these toxic chemicals. 25% of the chemicals in fracking fluid are linked with cancer or mutations. 37% affect hormones. 40 to 50% affect kidneys and nervous systems, immune and cardiovascular systems, and 75% affect sensory organs and respiratory and gastronomical systems. Oh, that's a pointer. Okay, next slide. So not surprisingly, wherever there's fracking, there are accidents, accidental spills of the fracked fluid itself, or when the wells explode, when the pipelines burst. And so this is a picture of the major accidents. This picture was taken before we had an episode here, so we should put another spill on Crossroads right here in California. And the communities have no way to deal with these spills. They're left on their own. There's no infrastructure to deal with all of the things that happen and can possibly happen at the site of a well rig. Next slide. So we call it the secret sauce. This is the chemicals that are inside, that go inside with the millions of gallons of water, the frac fluid. We call it the secret sauce because the recipes are protected under the Trade Secrets Act. So corporations do not need to tell communities what they're putting into the ground and into their water supply. And even if you have been exposed to something in the frac water and you go to the doctor may not be able to find out what it is that you've been poisoned with in order to treat you. It takes about 400 trucks to carry the water and supplies to and from each well pad. Each fracking job on the well pad takes 2 to 8 million gallons of water. Each well pad can be fracked up to 18 times. That's enough to fill Yankee Stadium at home 8 times. Yankee Stadium is a little bit larger than the stadium here, if that gives you some idea. Nationally, fracking uses over 100 trillion gallons of water and 400 billion gallons of frac fluid. And the toxic additives include kerosene, benzene, toluene, xylene, and formaldehyde. Next. Toxic wastewater can't be treated, it's lost. It's left in these open air pits, which you can see here. This is what the United States and any place where fracking takes place looks like. And also, these frac ponds let off VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds, and including methane and others. And thousands of these ponds, as you can see, it's just like a pond you would build yourself to put fish in your yard. It's just a plastic-lined pond. There's nothing to protect it, so when we've had these climate-induced storms, like Superstorm Sandy and others, they just wash away. This is also some water, some wastewater that has made its way through to a spring. Next slide. So the VOCs cause asthma, cancer, and severe illness. In Utah wells were estimated to be leaking 60 tons of methane per hour. And according to the EPA, which said fracking was so safe that it didn't need to be regulated, it's the number 2 source of greenhouse gases. Next slide. So I think I've already explained how it is that from these fissures where the oil and the gas are cracked open to release, you can see how they spread into the water system, the leaking chemicals from the chemical injection into our groundwater. And there have been many places where the water in the entire town has been undrinkable, most notably in the movie Gasland from Dimmock, Pennsylvania. This is an actual glass of water from their faucet. Next. I think we talked about the number of well casings that failed. Dr. Anthony Ingrasso, who's also a NASA scientist, is the one who's been leading up this research. Next slide. This is a picture of the well casings that are broken. This is what they look like. And this is what happens in many parts of the Marcellus Shale and other places where they're mining for gas, where people can just light the water right out of their faucets on fire. Many people are afraid to take showers because they're worried to spark, but they take showers with the lights off because they're afraid of what will happen. Next slide. Fracking causes earthquakes. That's been proven in places like Ohio, a place that does not have earthquakes, has been experiencing them, and so people in the place where I live, which is very seismically active, are very nervous about what that means for us. Next. So fracking causes all kinds of cancers, many like the ones that Casey Kemp described earlier. People are getting sick all over. We can't identify necessarily all of the chemicals that they're being exposed to. There is a list called List of the Harmed, where you can see the personal stories and testimonies and scientific evidence from across the country, thousands and thousands and thousands of them. So I just wanted to, I was hoping to have a chance to tell you about a particular story on an indigenous land in one area of North Dakota where the oil boom has been stunning, $100 million worth of oil. But of course, most of the residents don't see that, and certainly on tribal lands, that has not been the case as well. It's created fracking boom towns, which has created all kinds of issues for communities in terms of soaring rates of crime, rapes, gun sales, as people are flooding to this area for the quick jobs. It also means that the prices of homes increases, and so those who do not participate and don't get rich from the fracking really can't afford to live there. And from a quiet agricultural state to an industrial powerhouse with producing 660,000 barrels of oil a day. And what's really ironic is that North Dakota is also a home to the largest source of wind in the United States, and they could power 1.2 trillion homes, or 14,000 times the state's electricity use by wind, but they choose not to, instead putting the money towards oil. Next slide, just go to the last slide. So I just want to quote from someone from indigenous land who says, "This oil boom has divided the people and pitted them against each other in a negative way," says Candy Mossett, who currently lives in Bismarck, North Dakota. "It's really hard to see the damaging and negative effects occurring at Fort Bertha and throughout North Dakota as a result of crooked, greedy people, including politicians at the tribal and state level, lining their own pockets while the people suffer. I want people to know the reality we are facing here and see that we are all heading toward a modern-day genocide of the people, while the Bureau of Indian Affairs and others stand idly by and let it happen." Last slide. Next slide. I ask this tribunal to consider, in light of the evidence, that fracking is a clear violation of the rights of Mother Earth. We violate nature's rights at our own peril. We do not have the moral authority to rape the earth in this way. Fracking cannot be done safely, and we must transform our human laws to align with nature's laws that govern our well-being. It is time to stand for the rights of nature. There are a number of communities, 19 in the United States, in 6 states, who have banned fracking successfully by recognizing rights for communities and nature. I ask this court to understand the case of fracking as surely one of the clearest violations of the rights of Mother Earth. Thank you.
Muchísimas